Hello there, fellow model makers, and welcome to the second part of my Hasegawa 148 scale A6M2b Zero Type 21 build. We completed the cockpit last time, so let's move on from there. I start off by dry fitting the cockpit tub inside the fuselage half to see how much of the inside needs to be painted, as it may be visible. The part where the tub is to be glued is masked, and the inside is painted with the same cockpit green as the tub, Mr. Color 126 Cockpit Color Mitsubishi. Once the paint is dry, the tub is glued in place. The two fuselage halves are now glued together. I like to glue small sections of large pieces at a time. This way I feel I am able to align each seam properly and reduce puttying and sanding later. But even then, there is some amount of cleanup that is required. So I fill the seams with perfect plastic putty. I wipe away the extra putty and set the fuselage aside for the remaining putty to dry. In the meantime, I glue the wings together, once again working in small sections to minimize the seam line. With the putty now dry, I first stick some masking tape on the fuselage to protect the details as best possible. Now I start with a 400 grit sanding sponge. Next, a 600 grit sponge. A 1000 grit sponge. I now remove the masking tape, as any sanding we do from here on will be with higher grit sponges which won't damage any details. I remove any extra putty with a Q-tip dipped in water. Lastly, a 2000 grit sponge. And finally, some polishing with a polishing stick. I now clean up the leading edge of the wing. Time to add some rivets to this otherwise rather bland surface. Here is how I do it. Well, sometimes. I have this bendable ruler, I believe from Hasegawa. I just looked up a riveting plan online, and then using this ruler I mark out the number of riveting lines within each panel. A simple pencil suffices to draw the riveting lines. And using this trumpeter rivet maker, I freehand the rivets. The pencil lines were later simply wiped away. For the fuselage, I used the same measuring technique. However, since the rivet lines need to meet up after going around the fuselage, a little more precision is required. And so, this bendable masking tape to guide me. Also, instead of the trumpeter rivet maker, which honestly I do not like for various reasons, I am using this photo etch handsaw, again from Hasegawa, but I guess any small handsaw would do. So instead of dragging it across the surface like a saw, I just roll it over like a rivet maker. It helps that the saw is rounded. Now riveting is a time-consuming process, but in the end, the difference in detailing, I feel, is well worth it. With the riveting out of the way, the fuselage and wings are glued together. And the seam at the wing root is filled with putty. The engine is fairly simple, and though it lacks detail, I will not be adding any to it, given that hardly any part of the engine is actually visible. Before I can glue the canopy, I need to paint this area behind the pilot's seat. I start by spraying on some flat black. Now that I have already loaded flat black in the airbrush, might as well paint the engine. I now take some Tamiya XF85 rubber black and reverse shade the black. I add some dust here with AK Interactive Sienna Soil. And thank God for pre-cut canopy masks. With the masking in place, I paint the canopy with cockpit color Mitsubishi. The engine is dry brushed with some aluminium paint to bring out the details. Right then, fellow model makers, we are now ready to paint this aircraft, but that will have to wait till the next edition of our series. I hope you liked the video. Please do like and subscribe. Next time I will paint and weather this aircraft. Till then, good luck and happy model making.